Hello, and welcome to this presentation on the Arizona Corporation Commission. Of the date of recording, it is October 6, 2024. There is a very pivotal election coming up, and this presentation is about one of the offices that Arizonans will be voting for in this election. It's a very important body in terms of the affordability of the state of Arizona and in terms of the impact it has on climate change and how much of a livable future we're going to have. If you're joining us because you are postcarding, I'd like to thank you for the work that you're doing in helping to educate Arizona's voters on the importance and impact that this body has. Thank you. A little background about myself. My name is Garrett Weaver. I am a lifelong Southern Arizona and Tucson resident. I've lived here for the vast majority of my life, and I became aware of the Arizona Corporation Commission and the role that it plays by researching climate change and the impact that our state utilities have on carbon emissions from our state. So to give you a little bit of background about the Arizona Corporation Commission, in most other states, this body would be called the Public Utilities Board or Public Utilities Commission. They do many of the things that a Public Utilities Commission would do. They have rate setting authority. The Arizona Corporation Commission sets rates for electric, they set rates for water, and they set rates for gas. Any public utility is regulated by the Corporation Commission. It's a 5-member body. In our state, it is constitutionally mandated. You may hear this body referred to as our fourth branch of government, and that's the reason why it's a specifically enumerated body within our state's constitution. We also elect this body within Arizona. So most states, the vast majority of states, do not have elected utility boards. They are nominated by the governor usually and usually approved by the Senate. In our state, we, Arizona citizens, directly elect the members of this body. So it's a we have a lot of democracy in Arizona, and this is one example of that. To shift gears a little bit, so we have been seeing increasing temperatures within our state. Phoenix in 2024 has already had 120 days over 100 degrees and 61 days over 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So we've seen very high temperatures and temperatures that have been persisting well into September. In October, it's still hitting over 100 degrees this late into the year. And so a consequence of increasing temperatures and temperatures persisting longer, is that we're having to run our air conditioning more. And we're having to run our air conditioners for longer. And the consequence of that is that we are all now paying higher rates for our electricity, just as a consequence of using more energy to deal with increasing heat. What has our current Arizona Corporation Commission done? Well, what we've seen out of this body is that they have passed rate increases. If you live in APS territory, in February of 2024, you saw an 8% rate increase. And this also included a new fee specifically for solar customers. Solar customers are now seeing a grid access charge, which is about $3 per month. It is added specifically for solar customers who have solar hooked up to the grid, and this includes customers who installed their panels before the fee was introduced. If you live in TEP territory, in 2023 we saw 2 rate increases. In August, we saw a 12% rate increase for return on equity. This is money that is taken from our bill and sent to the utilities investors. And we also saw an 8.3% rate increase because of a fossil gas price spike. Most of our energy in the state generally is produced by fracked gas or fossil gas. And in 2020, we saw a spike in prices, and we are now paying for that increase. We've also seen the Corporation Commission cut solar compensation rates. We used to have a net metering policy in this state. Now we've moved to an export rate, and every year that rate goes down for consumers, the amount of money that consumers can get from a solar installation goes down every year. We've also seen this commission in April of 2024 move to revoke our renewable energy portfolio standards. So this standard requires utilities to have 15% renewable energy. The Corporation Commission is working on revoking that. They have also worked to repeal our energy efficiency standards. So energy efficiency standards are used to pay for the installation and weatherization of low-income homes. It pays for programs to support that. And Karen Potter, who is with Southwest Energy Efficiency Project, has told the Corporation Commission that based on data from utilities from 2010 to 2022, every dollar that's spent on programs returned $3.64. So it has a beneficial benefit to cost ratio, and it overall saves our state money. So very important programs that are being dismantled. This Corporation Commission has not focused on climate change for their decisions. They've focused exclusively on the rate of return that they provide to utilities, and they focus exclusively on rates and rate setting. And that's important because our energy system is and has been very focused has been very dependent and very reliant on fossil generation. So the consequence of this is that Maricopa County Department of Public Health keeps very good data on heat deaths over time. As a consequence of increasing temperatures, we've seen more heat deaths. In 2023, Maricopa County saw 645 heat-related deaths. And so these are deaths where environmental heat was directly involved in the cause of death for these cases rather than just being a contributing factor. This is a 52% jump over 2022, which saw 425 heat-related deaths. And this is a jump from about 10 years ago. In 2013 and 2014, we saw 76 and 61 heat-related deaths respectively. So in a 10-year period, we've seen about a 10x increase in heat-related deaths. To compensate for this, we have to use more energy. A lot of that energy is coming from the burning of fossil fuels, which emit carbon dioxide, which contributes to climate change and heating our global temperatures more, which in turn causes us to use more energy to try to keep ourselves cool. So you can see that this is a very worrying trend, and we're definitely going in the wrong direction here. What can we do? What can a people-focused and Arizona First-focused, a climate-focused Arizona Corporation Commission do? There's a lot of options, policy options that we could be looking at. We could be one opportunity, we could be expanding energy choice, giving Arizona residents more options on how they can procure and get their energy, giving consumers more options, will lower rates through market forces, will give us more choices, will let us individually procure more renewable energy. We could be adopting community solar and rapidly expanding renewables. Community solar is a policy that has been adopted in Colorado in 2010 and in California in 2020. Although Arizona technically has a community solar program on the books, It has a sub-retail rate that does not take into account the unique benefits of distributed solar, and it's much, much lower than it could be. It's not economically feasible right now. We could be expanding renewable energy within our state. This is going to create jobs, very, very good electrician jobs, high-paying jobs. We could be looking at expanding microgrids. So microgrids will, as our energy system becomes more taxed, as we become have a less reliable energy system because of climate threats, we'll need to be looking at protecting essential services, police, fire, hospitals, food distribution centers. These are all really important pieces of infrastructure, and microgrids can allow for more reliability, and will allow for more of a distributed grid that is more resilient. We could be looking at demand response. So these will be things like increasing insulation with increasing energy efficiency, weatherization, these are activities that will reduce our need for electricity. And Arizona could be a net energy exporter. So right now we import most of our electricity. We import fossil gas from Texas and New Mexico, which constitutes nearly half of our state's electricity generation. We import coal from Wyoming and from New Mexico. It doesn't have to be this way. Instead of being a net energy importer, we could be a net energy exporter. We could be exporting power to the rest of the Southwest because we have the best solar energy potential of any state within the nation. And this could be a jobs creator. This could increase our resilience and reliability when we're having more of our energy produced in our state. So what can you do? What can we all do? So as the Corporation Commission is a 5-member body, in 2024, Arizonans will be electing 3 new commissioners, which means that we will be voting for the majority of people who will be on the commission for the next 2 years. So that means that Arizonans should vote. We Arizonans have historically not voted for the Corporation Commission. In 2020, 15% of Arizonans who voted did not vote for a Corporation Commission. And of the people who did vote for Corporation Commission, 5 people only voted for 1 commissioner. In order to have the kinds of policies we need to increase affordability, help with affordability within our state, to address climate threats, we are going to need to have a qualified commission. And in order to do that, we're going to need to have every Arizonan vote. That means that we're going to have a commission. If every Arizonan votes for this commission, it means that we're going to have a commission that represents all of Arizona. So it's very important that every Arizonan vote, and that they not only vote, they vote for the Corporation Commission, and they vote for 3 Corporation Commission members this November. So, if you're postcarding, thank you very much for the work that you are doing. You are doing your civic duty in informing and educating your fellow citizens on the role and the importance of the Corporation Commission. That is a very generous thing, and thank you for doing what you're doing. Also, remember to vote. If you're stumbling across this video, please remember to vote for 3 Corporation Commissioners in 2024, and remind 3 friends to vote for 3 Corporation Commissioners in 2024. And that's our message. It's a simple one, but it's an important one. So please join me in voting for 3 Corporation Commissioners in November. That's it. I hope you have a safe and fun election season this year.